Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming and more Dragons Dogma 2. Today I'm talking about these, the Wyrmslife crystals, which become one of the most valuable currencies in the entire game. Yeah, currency, because you spend them as part of progressing the main story, but also for extremely important upgrades to enhance your gear. As you likely know, you can upgrade anything from weapons to armor 3 times maximum with a smith. You can and absolutely should upgrade your gear a 4th time. Not only will it increase the stats even more, but it will even have extra effects on, say, your weapon's weight. It's done with this NPC, the Dragonforged. You can find the Dragonforged here in the Bay Wayside Shrine, which is just north of battahli. And that 4th upgrade is special. It literally halves the weight of a weapon, which can obviously be a big deal for heavier weapon users like a warrior or whatever. There's also, of course, the high amounts of protection you'll reach for having 4th level upgraded armor instead. And all of this is going to cost Wyrmslife crystals, roughly 15 to 20 per 4th level upgrade. That means you're going to need anywhere from 80 to 100 of these crystals at a minimum. And there's even an extra 15 you need for the main story quest, you know, as you start flickering shadows. And on top of all of that, there's another reason to think about these. I'll have to vaguely reference it to avoid spoilers, but there's kind of a short final section of the game where things drastically change in the true ending, what is known as the unmoored world. Within that section, there's a progression of the Dragonforged character, meaning even more Wyrmslife crystals could be considered. To my understanding, these can be some of the best equipment and upgrade options in the game alongside what he starts to offer in New Game Plus. Also, he's just a vendor in general. He'll sell you fairy stones for extra teleport options. Each one will cost you 3 crystals. He'll sell you a port crystal, which is extremely worth it as it is a portable, reusable fast travel location. And with that being very valuable, it does cost 20 crystals, but I think it's worth it. And the last thing he sells is the comically strong unmaking arrow. The arrow will cost you 8 crystals, and I do think it's worth having, at least one on hand for a rare occasion. But from all that, I hope I've impressed upon you the value of these crystals, their various uses, how important they are. And with that in mind, this video is going to give you everything you need to know to getting a nice pile of them in prep for your 4th level upgrades and beyond. So let's just get into it. So where do you get Wyrmslife crystals? Well, it's dragons, or rather it's its smaller brethren. That would be the drakes, or the larger sickly red ones that people often just call red dragons. This is the best source of them, but it's not the only one. So during a fight with a drake, you can deal damage to it, and occasionally you'll get like 1 or 2 crystals to drop. But killing them means you get to loot them, and they drop anywhere from 3 to 4 items at a time. The potential loot pool of that could be Wyrmslife crystals. I found that I get 5 or 6 per pickup, and it can also be dragon scales for enhancing your gear. So if you're very unlucky, you could get 0 Wyrmslife crystals, or if you're really lucky, you could get up towards like 20 in 1 kill. In this example, I got 16. But with the drakes being around generally, there are other sources of the crystals. For example, you can grab 5 in the cave or room with the Dragonforged. Or because, they're on the floor and around the world, people will pick them up and then sell them. The easiest one in that case is when you're here at Vernworth. If you follow this road northeast, on this corner here, you can find a merchant wandering along the road who sells some different valuable items, including, Wyrmslife crystals. You can buy 3 per reset with this NPC for 5,000 gold each, so if you desperately need some extra ones without fighting a drake, it is an option. And merchants like this will reset their stock every 2 weeks in game, so you can just continually buy them if you really want to. But obviously, your best bet for a massive amount of them without actually costing anything is going to be killing drakes and the red dragons. So let's talk about where you actually find them, because there's a bunch of locations and I'm going to showcase a bunch of them on the map. I have got some markers and I'll just try my best to show you where they are. So, northeast of Vernworth, there is a drake just above the nameless village. In this section on the east side, just wandering on these lower levels, you got your first drake. The next possible drake is actually in Vernworth. Vernworth will be attacked regularly by larger and larger enemies as you progress. At a certain point, drakes will begin attacking the town, so you might even get a drake kill while you're literally in town. It's kind of an RNG event. In terms of towns, there's also one outside of Harve. Just northwest at the Harve ruins, you have another drake that can spawn there. Not too far north from that is this road here, just south of the elf area and east of the Misty Marches. There's just one chilling on this road right next to a very convenient campsite. There is another one really close here as you make your way west away from Harve, and there is actually a drake just chilling right on that road as you're going to enter that area. Not too far away from this, as we go west towards the checkpoint town, instead of going there, we can go north to the ancient battleground. And as I'm sure many of us know, in the middle of this battleground is a Cyclops fighting a drake, which is pretty unique and very memorable. There is one northeast of the battahli forest here by the water, just by this forgotten riftstone and the waterfall here, and another on the east side at the top here on this location, very much near to Luz and the Reverend Shrine. Coming down south, we have another one to the west here, just west of this tomb. You just follow the water around and it's just chilling in the water area. And as we come south from there, now beyond back battahli, we of course have a main story one at the top of Wyrmsblood Forest at Dragon's Breath Tower. This one is a unique drake. When you come here for the first time, you'll meet Sigurd, who says, let me hunt it with you. That's actually how you get the Mystic Spearhand master teaching, so this is well worth doing. And there's some good loot in this area. Coming down southeast, as we come all the way over to the volcanic island camp, if you head north and go towards this bridge, you will find a drake hanging out at the end of it. It's kind of an advanced one because it's got some stronger abilities, but that is yet another drake option. So as you can see, there's quite a lot around the world, and I hope that gives you lots of options to consider for whatever you want to farm or if you're passing in that area. But now we know what your options are, let's talk about how to kill them. For your regular drakes, you have the head and ideally the exposed heart as the weak points. Obviously, the heart is the best location to attack and where you get the most DPS. Different attacks, like its two different fire breaths, are going to be great DPS windows. On one of them, it'll go up on its hind legs and just leave itself exposed, not moving. Or when it's doing the moving channeled fire, it kind of walks forward and does not much else. Stand under it, keep attacking the heart. Like any enemy though, you can knock it down with some good force, leaving it laying on its side. If you're playing a vocation that can, I would recommend running up and using a critical heavy attack on the heart for a special animation and lots of damage. There are a couple things to be aware of mechanically in the fight, like when it's flying up in the air, expect it to suddenly drop back down, which can be very dangerous. The two main spells to worry about when casting are either the purple or orange ones, and that lets you know what's coming. During these charged up windows, they're actually free DPS moments, and especially with it being like sat on its hind legs, it can be exposed to a knockdown, interrupting what it's casting. If it does get a cast off though, just be aware that a purple cast is going to shoot out lots of lightning bolts at slightly pre-warned locations. You can avoid that by just perma sprinting. Whereas the orange cast drops down multiple kind of meteor style bombs at different locations, probably targeting you and your pawns all at once. So just be careful not to run into one that, you know, was set on a pawn. Another concern against stronger drakes is their ability to grab a pawn and channel into it and turn that pawn against you, or when they stand and raw staggering your team. Just like the spells, and especially these ones in particular, I would use these moments to press the damage and try to knock them or interrupt them to prevent things from getting out of hand. For the main element weakness, it is just ice, so ice spells or ice-based boons for your weapons as a buff, that's going to yield the greatest result. And I'd also like to highlight this spell as an incredible option. It's very busted, it's called Prescient Flare, or this upgraded augural version. It creates this glowing spot to attack on a target. The more damage you deal to that spot while it's on said target, the more burst when it detonates. If you were to place this on the heart, well, it'll kill a drake like it's a joke with any nice damage buildup. The ideal combo for this is lots of ticks of damage. So a sorcerer casts it and a thief goes nuts on it, building up ridiculous damage and one-shotting drakes. That's probably the most efficient way to kill pretty much anything in the game. You could do this all on your own as a warfarer if you had like both vocations and the flare equipped on a sorcerer. Now for the red dragons, like I said, I think they're easier. They're largely the same with a couple different mechanics like spreading their poison to not stand in instead of spells. But yeah, compared to drakes, I think their weak points are easier to abuse. They have lots of them instead of one that's kind of on and off. These pustule weak points exist all over the body, and your goal is to pop these with as much damage as fast as you can. When doing so, it'll be a nice burst of extra damage, but it'll even cause pain to the dragon to the point that it staggers. That might even interrupt what it's trying to do and can lead to very easy kills. So your top priority is to deal damage to these pustules however you can, and they only take a bit of damage before they pop, so long casts or longer wind-ups in a fight like this, it's just not worth it. Fast hitting attacks to pop as many of them as you can quickly, that's the way. But now you have that combat advice for the drakes. What should you actually do to farm these out if you want to? Well, you'd want to pick some drakes that are near to each other to kill in succession. One of my best and favourite spots is going to be the three that are actually quite close to Harv Village. You have the one that's up in the ruins here, which is obviously right next to the village, very convenient, and then as you run down this road, cross across the water, we have the one that kind of pass around this section. So that's two that are really close to one another. You can run northeast to the one by the water here, or even go northwest to the one at the ancient battleground. And I might even recommend that because there's kind of inconsistency on respawning these guys. The idea is that you want to cycle a day 7 times so that you're cycling a full week in game, which gives monsters a chance to respawn like these drakes. But you know, in my testing and research, there's a lot of varying information on how to actually get these guys to respawn. In my experience, 7 days is the reliable trick, but there's clearly variance. Like, you may have successfully respawned the enemy, but because you're standing there the whole time, camping right next to the spawn, you're just not going to trigger the respawn. It's not going to happen. And that can confuse you and probably a lot of people online about how these respawns actually work. It was as soon as I walked away and rested somewhere else, like an inn or otherwise, and then came back that, hey, that monster that I was trying to respawn, this drake, it was actually there this time. So 7 rests with a rest away from that spawn area. That seems to do the trick for me relatively consistently. So if you guys have any extra information about this process that you think is concrete, please let us know in the comments. But my advice is the half village ones. You got the one right here at the half ruins, and then you can cross the bridge to the next one over here, and then you can either respawn them by spamming campsites or going back to the inn, or go northeast or northwest to collect the next 2. At very least, that should be a ton, and hopefully more than you need, but if you need more, you can reset and keep farming them out. This is just my favorite location for that purpose. But there you have it. That is everything in regards to the Wyrmslife crystals and how to get them. I hope all this information is what you needed to know. But if you guys have any extra tips that can help with this, then let us know in the comments. Until next time though, I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.